Hey ya fellas, it's Dom here, and today we'll be doing another one of these lore videos, but I thought today, instead of doing it on something like Daedric Lords that we've already done, let's take a look at something more mundane, and that is the Dark Brotherhood, because a lot of people like assassins, and I think it's quite good clickbait. But anyway, let's just get on to the video. So, the basic rundown of the Dark Brotherhood, for any of you who don't know, is that they are a guild of assassins who are in Tamriel, and all of their business is not legal at all. The reason why I'm mentioning it's not legal to do with assassins is because their rivals, the Morag Tong, who are based in Morrowind, they usually get permission to do their executions and kills, so their acts are legal, but only in a certain province of Tamriel, while the Dark Brotherhood's a lot more illegal and kind of relies on coercion, bribery, blackmail, and just straight up murder to keep their activities hidden from the guards and whatnot. Of course, the gods know that they exist, but they try and, make sure when someone gets murdered, it's not obvious it's them. And they always try and hide their locations. The Brotherhood is also known for their worship of the Dreadfather, Sithis, who is basically a personified version of Chaos, and is also known as the Void. And those that he welcomes into the Brotherhood are considered their Dark Brothers and Dark Sisters. Like any other faction, this faction has rules, and the rules inside the Dark Brotherhood are known as the 5 Tenets. And these rules are to never dishonour the Night Mother, to never betray the Dark Brotherhood or its secrets, to never disobey or refuse to carry out an order from a Dark Brotherhood superior, to never steal any possession from a Dark Brother or Dark Sister, and finally to never kill a Dark Brother or Dark Sister. And to do any of these will invoke the Wrath of Sithis. And if you are unsure what the Wrath of Sithis is, it's a spectral abomination which basically comes to you in your sleep and attempts to murder you. And if you do manage to kill it, usually it's seen as respectable, and they kind of will sort of let you back in if you do defeat this Wrath of Sithis. But it's something that you have to prove that you're good enough to beat and destroy. However, there is an ancient rite known as purification, where a Dark Brotherhood member can ignore these rites if their speaker has demanded that the sanctuary needs to be cleansed of certain people who could be mistrustful or treacherous perhaps, and these souls are then offered to Sithis to show their fealty. The Dark Brotherhood itself is led by the Night Mother, and there are several different stories onto what the Night Mother truly is, some hypothesizing that she is the wife of Sithis, who murdered their children they had together to show her kind of devotion and honour to Sithis. Others think it's just a horrific creature which has been kind of blessed up into this point of leadership, which has given it magical powers. And some believe that it could just be another kind of form of Mephala, who is the patroness of the Dark Brotherhood in their opinions. But this one would be a bit strange, as the Morag Tong, the Dark Brotherhood's direct rivals, kind of worship Mephala as well. So you wouldn't really expect two rival gangs worshipping the same Daedric priestess, although Mephala's one of the few you could probably see that actually working for. The most notable way of hiring the Dark Brotherhood in the Elder Scrolls universe is by performing the Black Sacrament. And you might be wondering, what is the Black Sacrament? Well, don't worry, I've got that in here too. And as you can see from this picture, what is needed to perform the Black Sacrament, you have a skeleton of someone who has passed away, their heart, their flesh, candles lit and illuminated all the way around. You need to stab into the ground, whispering the plea, sweet mother, send your child unto me, for the sins of the unworthy must be baptized in the blood and fear. And you also, as you can see to the left, there must be a dagger, some nightshade, and a book devoted to the Night Mother itself. So the ritual's quite dark, but we'll be able to summon someone from the Dark Brotherhood to come to you and then obviously accept your contract, where you would then kind of pay for it and whatnot and tell them what needs to be done. Unlike many organisations, the Dark Brotherhood has its own kind of hierarchy. So at the bottom you've got your murderers, your slayers, your eliminators, and your assassins. Basically these are the people who will be going around and performing most of the kills. You have the executioners, who usually order the lower ranks but then also do their own executions as well. And then above that is when you get out of the Dark Brotherhood ranks and you enter the Black Hand, an even more ominous guild which kind of oversees the Dark Brotherhood. And that's made up of 3 different ranks. You have the silencers, the speakers, and the listener. The silencers work directly for the speakers, performing the tasks the speakers have sent them to do. And the speakers, as you might be able to realise from that, are the ones who order, like, the silencers to do their tasks. And finally, the listener is the top rank in the Dark Brotherhood. These people are the ones, or it's not these people, this person is the one who speaks directly to the Night Mother to hear her kind of calls and what she wants people to do, and can also reach out and explain who has performed the Black Sacrament and what they desire. So a Dark Brotherhood member does not have to directly go there. As we are an Argonian-friendly channel, and I do quite like Argonians, it's only worth mentioning that the Argonians have a very special relationship with the Dark Brotherhood, and a unique kind of group, which are known as Shadow Scales. These are hatchlings of Argonians who were chosen by the life of the Shadow to kind of join the Dark Brotherhood, and many characters that you meet in both Oblivion and Skyrim who are Argonians are usually Shadow Scale and have had their life prepared to join the Dark Brotherhood. It's a grueling kind of childhood way to get into the Dark Brotherhood, but it's still one that can happen. When looking at the origins of the Dark Brotherhood, there are a few different theories onto what caused it to directly become a thing. One of these is that the Morag Tong originally in the First Era were ordered to assassinate Emperor Remen III, probably at the request of his successor, but as this caused a lot of outrage across the nobles in the continent, they were outlawed from almost all of Tamriel except Morrowind. And because of this, it'd be a bit bad of a, Assassin's Guild if you can only work in one province. So there is a theory that they split off there and became their own guild. Another one would put it down to kind of religion conflicts, as the Morag Tong were very faithful to the Tribunal, which was the highest power in Morrowind at the time, and Mephala, of course. And some say that as the Dark Brotherhood have less of a religious vibe to them, this might have been why they split off and made their own guilds. The final theory is that the Dark Brotherhood were actually kind of split off from the Thieves Guild instead of the Morag Tong, as a few contracts would go wrong and people would have to murder on their contracts, and as the Thieves Guild are very much against the idea of murder, they assumed that this could be a good point to split off as they had these conflict of interests. But again, there's not too much to back this theory. Throughout the years, the Dark Brotherhood has taken a numerous number of contracts, some of which have made them more infamous than others, where it's clear that the Dark Brotherhood have been involved. Some examples would be the murder of Tiber Septim's heir, Pelagius I, who was murdered by a Dark Brotherhood assassin while he was praying in the Temple of the One. There's also been many times where the Dark Brotherhood has tried to collect many artifacts throughout Tamriel, like for instance the Memrune's Razor, a very powerful dagger which can kill any target in a single strike, with someone who's proficient with the blade, of course. The Dark Brotherhood have also tried their attempts to kind of rebuild in Morrowind despite, well, the Morag Tong being there, and back in the Third Era, the Dark Brotherhood attempted to try and gain a foothold on the island by aligning themselves with cultists of Mehrunes Dagon, known as the Dragonites, who provided shelter for both guilds. And in the same year of this, King Hlalu Helseth did hire the Brotherhood to try and assassinate the Nerevarine, your character in Morrowind in case you were curious, as he was afraid that he might be able to challenge his rule. And then in response is what happened in the Tribunal DLC as far as I'm concerned. In response to being given a hit on his life, the Nerevarine did decide to track down these assassins to an old manor in Mournhold and managed to kill their local leader, Dandris Vools. And then Helseth later explained to the Nerevarine that the attacks were due to misinformation. The Dark Brotherhood also made an attempt on everyone's favourite Khajiit lover, Queen Baron Zaya's life, but the assassins were killed by the Nerevarine as well. There is some evidence to suggest that the assassination attempt was just a ruse, and the real target was the Nerevarine once again, but again, more speculation, no solid facts here. Later, towards the end of the Third Era, in the times of Oblivion, there was a time when the act of purification had to be used because of a fear of a traitor amidst the Dark Brotherhood. The Night Mother had warned the Dark Brotherhood that there was a traitor who seek to destroy it from the inside, who was not named at the time. And the response to this was to have Lucien Lechance, one of the speakers, command the champion of Cyrodiil, who had quickly rose through the ranks, to completely purify the Cheydinhal Dark Brotherhood sanctuary, as a fear of one of them could be the traitor. In reality, what it was Matthew Bellamont, another one of the speakers, who had managed to get himself into the Dark Brotherhood somehow, had managed to get to a very high rank and attempted to destroy it from the inside, as an act of revenge for them killing his mother many years ago. And what he did to kind of make this even more destructive was that he switched out the Champion of Cyrodiil's contracts from ones which were simply targeting people who the Night Mother had been told to kill, to switching it to members of the Dark Brotherhood, and constantly writing down things like they are crazy, and to take them out without actually talking to them and stuff like that, so there wouldn't be this chance for there to be a misunderstanding and the targets to speak to each other and realise that something was amiss. As Lucien Lechance was the one who was meant to be giving you the contracts, he was also framed for all of these killings of the silencers of the Dark Brotherhood that you were unintentionally doing. So the other members of the Black Hand killed him, which was a bit awkward to think of looking back. After your character had unintentionally assassinated the listener as well, the remaining members of the Black Hand went and spoke to the Night Mother to choose a new listener, where Matthew Bellamont attempted one last time to kill all the members of the Black Hand and destroy the Night Mother, but you and one other member of the Black Hand managed to stop him in time, and your character, the Champion of Cyrodiil, becomes the new listener. By the time the Fourth Era rolled around and a few hundred years had passed, the Dark Brotherhood's reputation had significantly fallen. The Great War had spiralled the effects of the Dark Brotherhood, as most areas could not even get off contracts and lost all of their presence in provinces like Hammerfell due to these lack of contracts. And as well as this, the Shadow Scale trading facility had also been kind of not really receiving any recruits whatsoever, so the Shadow Scale tradition died out as well. And this kind of massively reduced the number of members that were joining the Dark Brotherhood. And the Black Hand that were overseeing were completely divided on whether they should be expanding their members or consolidating and kind of reinforcing on contracts. So this really did destroy the numbers of people who were actually part of the Dark Brotherhood. As well as the riots in Cyrodiil due to the Aldmeri Dominion invading, the sanctuaries were kind of removed and destroyed. One of the final ones was the one in Falkreath in Skyrim, where there was no listener whatsoever, so no one could even hear the Night Mother. But after a while, the Dragonborn manages to become the listener, and somewhat restores the reputation of the Dark Brotherhood by assassinating the Emperor Titus Mede II. And it's rumoured that maybe some of his advisors were the ones who actually put out the contract, even though the man Armand Montier is the one who directly went to the Dark Brotherhood and spoke to him about it. But this assassination, going off successfully, somewhat restored the name of the Dark Brotherhood and gave it a bit more reputation. But anyway, that's a rough history of the Dark Brotherhood and what they're known for. I hope you guys did enjoy this one. If you did, obviously, like and subscribe, and if there's any more lore you want me to cover, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.